tire blowout is one of the scariest things that can happen on the road. 1 second you're driving normally, the next your car jerks violently, you feel like you lost all control. In this video, I'll walk you through what causes tire blowouts, how to respond calmly if it happens, and who may be legally responsible after a crash. Hey, I'm Bourgeois, your Louisiana injury attorney. I spent years helping injured folks just like you fight back when insurance companies try to take advantage of them following a crash. If you've been in a crash and need someone in your corner, give me and my team a call at 504-882-9867 for your free consultation. Remember, when you need a win, you gotta give them the L. Crashes caused by tire blowouts often lead to severe injuries and even fatalities, and it can be hard to react the right way in that split second when it happens. So what is a tire blowout? A tire blowout is more than just a flat tire. It's a sudden and rapid loss of air pressure that often causes the tire to burst apart. Unlike a slow leak, which gives you some warning, a blowout usually happens instantly without much notice. You might hear a loud bang, feel your steering wheel jerk, and suddenly sense that the car's pulling hard to one side. In many cases, the vehicle will start to wobble or shake violently. This can be incredibly dangerous because the driver has very little time to process what's happening. At highway speeds, a blowout can cause the car to veer into another lane, cross into oncoming traffic, or even roll over. The danger is magnified for larger vehicles like SUVs, trucks, or commercial vehicles, where the higher center of gravity makes rollovers more likely. Understanding what a blowout is and how quickly it can destabilize your car is the first step to preparing for it. Drivers who know what's happening in those first few seconds are much more likely to regain control and avoid a crash. But what causes tire blowouts? Blowouts can happen for several reasons, but they most always come back to some form of weakness in the tire or outside pressure that exceeds what the tire can handle. One of the most common causes is underinflation. When a tire doesn't have enough air, too much of its surface touches the road, creating friction that builds up heat. Over time, the heat weakens the tire walls until they finally give way. Overloading is another factor. Tires are designed to carry a certain weight, and when that's exceeded, whether by carrying too much cargo, towing a heavy trailer, or simply overstuffing the car, it increases the risk of a blowout. Road hazards are another major cause. Potholes, debris, or sharp objects that can cut into a tire and cause internal damage that eventually lead to failure. This is especially dangerous because the damage may not be visible at first, but it weakens the tire enough that a blowout happens days or weeks later. Poor tire maintenance also plays a big role as well. Worn out treads, cracks, bulges, or failing to replace old tires in time all make blowouts more likely. Finally, defective tires can also come from a manufacturer. In some cases, blowouts occur because the tire was poorly designed, improperly made, or not recalled when it should have been. Knowing these causes helps drivers take preventative steps like checking tire pressure regularly, rotating the tires, avoid overloading, and replacing old or damaged tires before they fail. So what should you do if your tire blows out while driving? This is the critical moment that can mean the difference between life and death. The most important thing to remember is not panicking. Your first instinct might be to slam on the brake, but that's the worst thing you can do. Braking hard causes the vehicle to become unbalanced, which can lead to a spin out or rollover. Instead, grip the steering wheel tightly with both hands and try to keep the car pointed straight. Focus on maintaining control rather than immediately slowing down. Let your car gradually lose speed by easing off the accelerator. Once you feel you have control, gently steer towards a safe place to pull over, such as the shoulder of the road. If you're on a highway, it may take longer than you think to slow down, but be patient. Turning the steering wheel sharply or overcorrecting is another mistake that can cause crashes after a blowout. Smooth, steady movements are what keep the car stable. Once you're safely off the road, turn on your hazard lights so other drivers are aware of your situation. Taking these steps can save your life and the lives of others on the roadway. Drivers who know this information ahead of time are much better prepared to respond calmly if the moment ever comes. But how do you determine liability in a blowout crash? The question of liability after a tire blowout can be complicated. Many drivers assume it's always their fault, but that's not necessarily true. If the blowout happened because the driver ignored obvious signs of wear, drove with dangerously low tire pressure, or overloaded their vehicle, then yeah, they may be responsible for any crash that follows. However, there are plenty of cases where someone else may be at fault. For example, if a tire shop or mechanic failed to properly install or inspect a tire and that oversight caused the blowout, they could be liable. If the blowout was caused by a road hazard that should have been addressed by the city or state, such as a pothole left unrepaired, that may be grounds for a claim against the government entity responsible for road maintenance. Perhaps, most importantly, tire manufacturers can be held liable if the blowout was caused by a defective design or production flaw. There have been many recalls over the years where dangerous tires were sold to the public, and holding manufacturers accountable is one way to make sure victims are compensated for their losses. Determining liability in these cases requires investigation. crash reconstruction experts, tire specialists, and legal teams all play a role in figuring out whether negligence by another party contributed to the blowout. That's why it's so important for victims of blowout crashes to seek legal advice before assuming blame themselves. Tire blowouts are sudden, frightening, and potentially life-threatening events. But with the right knowledge, you can reduce your risk, respond effectively if it happens, and understand who may be held responsible. If you or a loved one was seriously injured in a crash as a result of a tire blowout, call me and my team today at 504-882-9867 for your free consultation. We'll walk through your options, try to understand exactly what happened, explain how the law applies in your situation, and get to work protecting your future. Remember, when you want to win, you gotta give them the L. And if you found this video helpful, hit that subscribe button and check out this next video.